show you how I did it. We showed up here a couple of days ago. They had a beautiful floor made for us, circular floor. But yes, the customer usually builds the floor. So coming to the end of this yurt project, it's been awesome. We still have a few more hours installing the door, and we have some tying down around the sides to do, but overall everything's fitting nice, and real happy with the project. I've got some extra instructions on how to do that. Yeah, let me show you how I did it. I wasn't really looking at the camera. So what we're doing is putting on the band board. This is a part that comes with the yurt. I usually make it a little bit lower or level with the bottom of the platform. The important thing is that you have enough space on the top to attach the lattice into. And so the bottom bolt of the lattice will go through this point and hold everything on. I'll also go back and find the joists. The joists are here, like here's one, and I'll put two bigger screws in the joist sections. So right now I'm just getting it up there, then I'm gonna go back and find the joists and put some stronger screws in the joists. One other thing is, we're going to have a door here, and I don't want to break the end of a piece of plywood here. I really want there to be a solid piece wherever the door is, so that we can just cut out the little notch where the door frame will go. So we may have to cut a half piece in a minute just to make sure that we have a full piece going around where the door is going to be right on this corner. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting a piece off. Then we're going to have another piece, and then that will go across the center. So we imagine that we cut it here, then we will definitely have a whole piece going across the front of the door. That. Good enough. All right, now we're gonna have to throw our doors up here and figure out exactly where they're going. And we'll have to put a straight line across to make sure that they're completely straight across the center. Yeah. Okay. So we can figure that out, but let's just throw the door frames up. Here somewhere. You tell me. We're putting it on a corner, because the corners are the strongest. Because it's a circle, you've got a corner, and then you've got a curve here. So actually there's more cantilevering happening here. So the doors are going to be your heaviest part of the thing. So we're putting them on a corner. It's not totally necessary, but it is better if you can do it that way. So now we just need to mark where we're going to cut. And we're going to draw a line approximately where this is. Go down, then we're going to cut along the level of the floor, removing this section right here. And when we get over to here, we're going to come back up. It changes a little bit. It's sitting back away, but when you pull it forward, it's going to change the distance a little. So we're just going to start with that side. We're going to cut all the way across here, and we'll figure out where to come up right there. And then we've removed this section of board, and then we can slide the door out to where this is butting up against this. This piece of plywood should be butting up against this piece of plywood, like a continuation, you know? Okay? Say 73. Right there. And go around and do that for me a few more times. Right there, it's about 75. So you can go ahead and go 75 right there and make a mark right here, okay? So just do that in a few marks, and then I'll draw across it. Okay, so now I'm going to set the saw to the thickness of the piece of plywood so that I don't cut into the floor or anything like that. I'm just going to be cutting the plywood. Okay, and then start by do an estimate over there of the location of the end of the door where we're going to go. It should be somewhere around here. You can throw a square on it. It's not going to be exact because when you move it, but something like that probably. All right, so then this, and we're going to remove this piece. Okay. Yeah, it's enough, but yeah, there it goes. Okay. Okay.
Wait, no, try it.
All right. Right here we got 91, so 45 and a half is right there. All right, and then we're going to need a string or something like that to go all the way across so that we can make sure that we are directly across there. And even a long tape measure works because then you can just do like this and find the spot. So we marked the center of that door, and we know that's going to end up probably really close to this. And the way I'm going to do it is just, I'm going to look at the numbers here. And so right now, this point right here is what I'm following. Starts getting longer. And then it starts getting longer again. So we're basically right there. Pretty close to what we had here, but then we could even move it a tiny bit that way, but it wasn't exactly on. So this is a more accurate way to determine where the exact center is. So that's right at 7.
Yeah, that we had separated.
Yeah, so we're gonna bring this up. It's a little bit low, it's fine. If it's a little high, it won't work. So better to be a little low. You can always caulk it, but you don't want to be too far off. That's also showing 7 there and 7 there. 7 there. So that's about right. A little bit more back that way. That'll work. Doesn't have to be perfect at the moment. Okay. And we're gonna lift the whole thing and go to back here. Now we're gonna lift and open. Okay, so just lift and open. You can just use your hands like that so that we don't drag it on too much. We're just opening it up now, and we'll attach it to the doors on both sides. So a minute ago we kicked back the door and put a bead of silicone underneath right at the edge so that water that ever tried to go up under there wouldn't do it. So yeah, and then we screwed it down here. I tried to find a joist. I found one here, and also I'm staying inside of this area here because I don't want to see the screws later, and I don't want the water to go down in the screw holes here. So the actual door will be mounted here with a frame around it that will cover up these screw holes. So keep your screw holes back there, not so close to the edge that it splits, but you know, far enough that when you put the door there, it will be covered. And I'll also go back and put another bead of silicone under here on the outside, but I also wanted to put one on the inside. So we just tipped the door back just a little bit to make that happen. Squirted some under there all the way through. That's it. We're gonna go now. We've made a mark on a stick at what we would like to see happen somewhere around there, but mainly we're just checking to see that all of it is about the same in all places, because sometimes it will be high on this side and low on that side. So we're going to go around and use this mark. Right now it's about even the bolt, moving along, still about even, marking the bolt, still about even, Feel about even. Starting to get, yeah, it's about even still. Maybe a little low there. Tiny bit low there. Tiny bit low. So we could bring a tiny bit this way and just take a little of the height there and put it over here. But it's not too far off. It can be a centimeter, no problem. So we're just gonna do one little adjustment. So you come here and kind of hold what you've got there. Let's just bring it, push down and push it over just a little bit. That's good. That's good. Let's try that. This should be pretty close to even now. Yeah, still a tiny bit low there. About right there. Yeah. It's all within a centimeter of the line. And they're even on both sides. So we're good. So now we need to go through and remove all of these bolts here. And the way you do it is pinch it with your fingers, and then you can easily unscrew it. And then pull the bolts out. And I'm gonna put one screw in each one just to hold us in place so it doesn't move while we're working with it. And I'm also gonna put a screw down in the center of this to hold it so it doesn't move. So let me do that. I put one here already just to keep this from moving. So we've got it kind of pinned where we want it now. We're going to end up drilling a hole through here, through the hole that's there already, line those two holes up all the way through this piece of plywood, and then we're going to put a bolt from the back side here and put a nut on. So we want to make sure that the door is where it needs to be, because if it pulls in, then it moves over a little bit that way, you know. So we want to make sure that the door is level before we do that, and it seems to be there. We should be able to drill this one no problem. So the yurt kit will come with these longer ones, 660s. They're good for using in the door. Also could be used around the bottom with the plywood band as well. We're going to be attaching those. Put a screw in to pin it temporarily, so just to hold it so that it won't change level on us. So now we can start to line up this with one in the back, like that. Then we take one of these here. I also squeeze here to get as much as I can. Now what we're going to do is just go at the top. Usually you can just squeeze it and start twisting it out. You're going to go about halfway so that you have enough space in between there for the cable to lay on the bolt. So you don't want the cable to lay and put pressure on the two pieces of wood. You want it to go in between it and lay on the bolt. So he's just going to go around and loosen those up just a little bit. We leave them tight because you have to transport the yurts and things like that. So he's going to loosen them up, and I'm going to get the cable ready. So I start off of the door. I don't want to be right over the door for this process because it gets a little confusing. So it can be to the side of the door, or it can be in between. Let's just say for today's purposes, we'll go right in between here, so the other piece will come in there. So I'm just going around. I've gotten the bolts here loosened already so that there's enough space in there for the cable to lay down on there. And I'm just laying it down. What you want to be careful of is not leaning out when you're doing this, and also not pulling in, like, you know, doing this each time. You want to let it do what it wants to do. It's more than likely going to be pretty straight up and down naturally. So if you push out, then you're gonna have it be too big of a diameter and you pull in. So, and the cable will come measured already to the circumference of the yurt. And go all the way around. And over the doors, it's important that you try to just keep the curve going. You don't want to go from that point to that point straight across. You want to just kind of lay the wire up there and imagine that it's following the curve of the yurt as you go across the doors. All right, so I'm going to take some of these bolts and we're gonna connect the bottom bolt. We left that out. When you receive the yurt, you would receive it with these bolts out, and it's because they're longer and they're going to go through here, so there's no reason having to remove all of them. They don't matter in the transport. So anyway, we're going to drill through there, and we're going to put a bolt from there all the way through that, through the back of this, through this, and put a nut in here, and that's going to connect this all the way around the bottom to the floor. Again, you have to line up the holes. And that might be something you can help me with. So I'm going to have you help me. I put it there, then you move the two holes into kind of location. If they're not perfect, it's okay, but that's what we want right there. Okay, and we try to hold that. Yeah, squeeze against that right there. Oh, and then if this isn't all the way in too, you need to push in with your on that. And so, yeah, it's possible. It's doable, but it's not going to be easy. Okay. Okay, that's good. So this keeps it from lifting up. And how much space do we have here? We got enough. Yeah, we have. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, cool.
Okay. I'll get up on the scaffolding and he'll hand me the ring. I'll try to hold the ring as high as I can. And we're gonna put a rafter on each, just 4 sides basically. Get, 4 strong points, one on this side, one on that side. And the rafters go in like this. There's a hole and a pin. And so the pin has to fit into the hole that's on the ring. So this goes in like this. First you put that in, and then this little notch right here is going to go on the cable that's right here. So in general, what I do is you're going to be here with a stool, maybe even a smaller ladder. Like if you're pretty tall, you might be able to do it, but at least have a stool. We're going to go like this. I'm going to be holding the ring. You can maybe put the rafter here like this. And you can try your best to get into the hole. I can spin it around. You stick that into the hole there. But sometimes it requires that it's up here, that it's a little higher before it goes in the ring, Sometimes it requires that it's here. Sometimes it requires that it's down here, Because it's got to go straight into that hole first. And then you come up here and stick this in like that, okay? Once we get several of them up there and it's holding itself in the air, I can help you and I can guide them in, and it goes really fast. But the first few always take a little bit of work. So yeah, just throw a screw in there. Don't put it all the way in. Just like right when it gets to the edge, stop. Go throw one of those in each one. And I'll bring in more rafters here. Okay. So what he's doing now is he's using this hole that we've pre-drilled here, this hole. And he's locking these rafters into the cable so that they can't come out of the cable. So as we start to move this around more and the wire gets tighter, the cable, we can start to pull these out. As we're putting another one in and lifting up, they can start to fall out. So usually if you move slow, it doesn't matter, but he's just going ahead and putting those in. Yeah, let's go here. That's fine, that'll work, yeah. So first we're going to check that the rafter is all the way pushed in. into the hole so that it's up against here. They're not always going to be perfect, but this one is in as far as it's going to go. And then I'm going to use a bracket with one screw into the ring here. Do that one first. And then I'll put one screw into the top of the rafter here. And that locks the rafter into the ring. So it has the pin to give it strength when you push down like this, but now it has this to keep it from pulling out. And when there's a very high wind, it can make the circle turn into an oval. The wind starts going around the circle so much that it starts to push it in and make it an oval. And then the rafters will start to drop on the long side of the oval. So this keeps that from happening. That's it. And then we're going and doing another connection point at the top. I don't know if you got this yesterday, but we're putting in a screw. The rafters come pre-drilled already, so these screws can come in and out. When you want to take a rafter down, you pull this screw out. When you want to lock it in there and leave it for a while, there's a hole that's pre-drilled, and we just stick it in the hole. Don't have to go very tight, just put it right there and it will lock in there, and it keeps this cable from being able to pass that point. So you're going to push out on the top of the door frame just a little bit. So this is an awning that protects the water from hitting it right at the bottom of the door. Just sheds a little bit of the water out. First I want to look and see that they're spaced about right, you know. So I prefer to have them halfway over the door. It doesn't really matter as long as this one is spaced about the same as that one. A bit there. That's probably okay. Yeah, that's good right there. So okay. Right, so that basically makes the door frame now where it can't move because Okay, so the first thing we put on with the fabric is the interior liner. It's a white cotton liner and it has ties at the top, which you can see here. So it goes on the outside and it just ties around the top. We're going to tie a few ties. We don't have to tie them all yet. We'll just put it up there, roll it out and tie it. We'll keep it from dragging the ground. I'll hand it to you here. And also we want the finished side to go on the inside. There's a finished and an unfinished side. So we want to see the finished side on the inside, so we're doing it right. Yep, so just keep on rolling it. Once you get a few spaces down, I'll take it from you, tie another one on. We'll come back and tie the rest later. So now you can move your ladder. Yeah, it looks like a roof. I'm gonna get up on top. Okay. Then I've got the finished side inside, yep. Now you can use the stick. You can go around with that stick and start to do like this. Okay? It'll work now. I'm not going to be up here because it could just decide to all fly off at one point. I think which one we should do. Let's do the roof first. And then we'll come back with the walls and we'll just tape immediately to the roof. We're putting on the a breathable membrane, and that goes on right after the cotton liner so that the cotton can get the moisture from the inside through it. And it's really windy, so I'm just going around. Sometimes you don't have to do this, but on a day like today, I'm just going around temporarily putting a few pieces of tape to hold it together. To make sure the roof is got plenty of space there to tape down to it. And I'm just doing a few pieces of tape now because I want to make sure everything's right. We're long enough here. That's the next question. Yeah, basically we're long enough. I mean, to hold that temporarily. So now we're gonna put the foil insulation on. We've got this kind of stable. Hopefully the wind is pretty crazy right now, but we've got it stable enough to be able to work with the insulation. Let's hope. And in fact, it's better to make it look like this is really easy. So people are like, oh yeah, that looked so easy. Yeah. Alright, so what we're gonna do is thread the cable through here, and you can't see it, but there is these grommets here. Okay, start by going in, then coming out, and most of the cable will be on the outside. When you get to the next set, go in and go out, and just continue going around the whole canvas, going in and out. All right, so we've gone through and weaved cable in all the way around. It's important that when you're tugging and pulling on this cable, you'll pull the canvas up, and that will actually make the cable shorter than it needs to be. So the cable will come pre-measured, and you should have a really good idea, but always go around before you actually get ready to tie the two cables together. Go around and pull down and make sure that everything's pulled over the edge. So we've kind of done that by going up here, just pulling here and making sure that this cable didn't get, it can be a tiny bit loose as well, this cable, but if it's too tight and you've pulled a lot of thing, and it will pull it up on here like that, and it'll be too short, and you'll never get the canvas to come down and fit. We'll be able to hang the walls, and then that's going to hold the roof down. That's going to give a lot of weight. That's going to keep all this stuff from blowing away anymore. So that's it. Yeah, and then I'll show you the connection. It's right around here. This is the saddle, they call it. This is the dead end right here. So I want the saddle on the other side. I want this piece on the dead end. So that would be the correct way to do that. Then we pull down again. Pull around and make sure it's not sitting way up on most of the time. And then we need to figure out, okay, this is that's the finished side. So we really need to start on the other side. Let's do that. It'll make it so much easier than trying to fold it. And we're gonna go this way. All right, so I'm just gonna put one to pin it in place. And I'm gonna be a little bit cautious this time, leaving a good bit extra at the door, okay? And I make it where it can't slide when I'm going this way. And I'm not gonna put every one of them in. I'm just gonna put a few in right now so that we know that we've done it correctly. Okay, so, and then what we're looking for is that if it's done correctly, imagine water going off of this. We want it to jump over the seam here, like this. We don't want water to get stuck there. So if we had it the other way, if we had it on this side, you would notice water would be going down and getting stuck in that seam. So that's the main thing you're looking for there. So what we've done is we've got, you know, a little bit extra on everything. So we've just folded it over. We folded over the extra here. Okay. With the insulation was cut right about what we want. It can go all the way up to here if you want it to, but it doesn't have to. So it can all go all the way up to that, but it doesn't have to. And then we're going to take this piece of wood. I'm going to give you this piece of wood, and we're going to wrap this around like this. So wrap it around. Yep. And you should be able to pull it back into the corner once you do it. Now the windows came with a board screwed in right here, and you can see the screw holes right there. We're going to put the board back in now, and it has a gap in the back, a little piece sawn out of the back that allows room for all of that. So this is the board. We're gonna put it even with the top of that one so that the awning can sit back on it. We need to go up a little, I think. Yeah, right there. Now pull down really hard on that. Ready? Quickly. We want this piece to be there, yep. Be there. Now we can work everything this way. Start to work the fabric this way and down all at the same time. And we should end up getting pretty low once both of us pull. And we pull on the roof as well. Somebody pulls from up there, somebody pulls down here. Well, we'll put a screw in here somewhere. If this is a little bit too long, we can cut some off. So we're going around now and just putting a few in. I'm actually going to add more in between here, but I don't want to do too many and then find out that we've done something wrong or that it didn't line up, it didn't look good. So we're tucking this under just a tiny bit because maybe it's a tiny bit long. I think we could actually get there if we wanted to, but instead of going crazy pulling hard, we've just been tucking it a little under. Pull down. And you don't want to hit the stitching on this. This is 3 layers of fabric. It's got a fold inside that's pretty thick, so it's going through 3 layers of fabric, but you don't want to hit the stitching if you can avoid it. So here you get everything nice and lined up, and the last piece of fabric you wrap the stick around like that, and then you put this here and you force it into the side of the wall, and then you screw it back in, and it makes a nice tight fit there like we did on the other side there. Get up there and check that everything is balanced on the top, and then we can put the dome on. And so I'm going to thread this through there, and then one side of the dome will lay down on that. This one has a hinge, you can see it right here, and I'll put these 3 bolts in the hinge, and I would install this before, but it gets in the way. When you're putting things up, you'll always damage the rod. I learned my lesson to just go back and put them in at the very end. And there will be an acorn nut. We'll cut this off because I'm having to kind of ruin the threads here. We'll cut this off. We'll put an acorn nut there, and that's what makes your dome go up and down. So now we're gonna go get the dome. We're gonna have to tie a string or a strap or something, throw it down there, tie it to the dome, pull it up the fabric like this, and set it on top. So coming to the end of this yurt project, it's been awesome. We still have a few more hours installing the door, and we have some tying down around the sides to do, but overall everything's fitting nice, and real happy with the project, and all I can say.